Hey archery fans, how you doing? This is kind of a different video for me. If you're a subscriber to my channel, I have a few. Most of my videos had to do with auto repair and stuff like that. But I was recently let go by my company, so I decided after being off for about 3 months that I was going to get back into archery. So I was an avid archer starting around 2000 to about 2009, and I kind of fell away from it. But I did shoot some tournaments, went to Vegas, shot the Defeated Nationals when they were here in Michigan. I'm in Michigan. And it was a great time. So I decided to get back into it. So I still have my bow, the Conquest 2, root beer colored. I've been shooting it. I have an outdoor range, so I have a couple acres. So I have a nice outdoor range, and I'll show you that in future videos. So I decided that I'm going to take my archery kind of to a new level. Oh, and I actually have a morel target over here that I can shoot indoors. And I actually had it at my house at one time. It's kind of how I learned to do back tension, release, just shooting in. And I actually had this in a closet in my back room and used to shoot arrows, and my wife hated it. And I shot arrows for days, countless hours of shooting arrows just to learn back tension. I'll talk more about that as time goes on. But at any rate, so I watched a video the other day by Tim Gillingham. He's a pro with gold tip, and actually I shoot gold tip arrows, so I was on their site and looking at some of their stuff. So any rate, and I thought, he did a really good, I think a probably 11-part video series on paper tuning, the importance of paper tuning. So what I'm going to do is to put together a wood paper tuning rack or frame, and something that will fit in front of my outdoor target, which again I'll show you guys later on. And the reason I chose wood is because that's what I have. I mean, I've done a lot of home construction. I got a rack full of wood, so it's all free. So I watched a lot of videos. People were doing it with PVC. Seems to be the predominant one. Kind of fragile and shaky to me. So I saw a couple videos, and they were actually towards pistol range targets, and they made a wood base. So I'm going to kind of go with that kind of design, a little hybrid design between the ones I've seen. So I basically got a stack of wood here on the floor. I'll take a quick shot of that. Got my saw set up. Got a design in my head. Scary place. I'm going to cut it up and then lay it out and then kind of show you what I'm thinking and then put it together. So that's where I'm at, and so hang on there. So this is my my stack of wood that I have, that I basically just pull out of my wood rack, which is up there. So this by the way is my garage, and it's really a home gym. There's our gym mascot down there. That's my dog. She kind of hangs out with me whenever I'm in the garage or out shooting. I keep her behind me. Yes, very safe. So that's my home gym. All my son's friends come over and work out. At any rate, I have my saw set up here, and then I have this big old stack of wood that I pulled. And again, I have the design in my head, so I'm going to do some cutting here, and then I'll lay it out on these. This is my workout mats. I'll lay them out there so you can see kind of what I'm going to do. And I'll give rough dimensions of what I'm cutting, and it's going to be roughly a little over 6 feet high, because that's how my target stand is in the back. I want to make sure that I'll clear it, obviously, and I don't want to hit the top of the frame, so I figure a little taller is better than too short. And then the ground's somewhat unlevel there, so I have to make it stable. I'll show you more about my target range when we're outside. Okay, so I'll be back once I get some of this wood cut up. So what you're looking at here is the base, and you've probably seen something very similar in other targets, but I'll kind of go through it and kind of my thought process and why I made a few alterations. So basically this is the base. Imagine these two sections here are 6 feet long, and it's all dependent on this roll of paper. Now imagine this will be up higher, but this roll of paper is 30 inches, so it'll have a couple brackets here to hold it. So the base really is kind of what it's all about when it comes to the sturdiness. So what I've done is a little different than some people did, but these pieces here, these two pieces of 2x4 are 35, only because the scrap one I had was 35, so I cut the other one 35, but 3 feet seems about right. These two pieces here, there's two pieces of 2x4, one here and one here, they're 38. right? And that's enough to allow this roll, which is 30 inches, to fit between these two uprights, okay? And the design is that these will basically come out. So the top of the target will come out and go in the shed, right? And then when I want to use it, it'll go back in here. Now, some of the other ones I've seen only had 2x4s, right? So what I decided to do, only because I had it, this is some rough cut cedar. It's probably 5.5, something like that. And I figured if I put the rough cut in there, it'll be a little bit taller and prevent the tendency for the target to want to roll back and forth, right? It just felt with just the 2x4s, it would have a tendency to want to roll. And so I figured just to add the extra height would be good. Then I have two little studs in here that would kind of help hold it all together. And I'm not going to make it real tight. I'm going to leave a gap because I don't want to have to struggle to get the target in. You know, this is going to be somewhat heavy because it's going to be two 6-foot tall pieces, the 2x4. And then I'm going to use some plywood strips to make the top and the bottom frame. And then I'll put this in. But I'll show that next. I'm going to make that separate. But I'm going to screw all this together with, and they have the torque bit in them. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah, so they got the torque bit head. So I'll use those. The shorter ones, attach this to the plywood. I'll screw from the ends and then screw through. So I'm not going to show you all that, just the cutting and the size. So basically 38. These are about a 16th inch short of 38. Only because I didn't want these to hit the 2x4 on the side and just cause it to wobble. I want this to be rock solid on these 2x4s, so I made these a little bit less so they wouldn't impact the distance. And again, these are just cut. I put them in there, marked them, and cut them. And then I have a couple lines here and here to where I got to screw these in to leave myself the kind of gap I want on those. So that's my thought, and I think it's going to work pretty good. And so I'll get the base put together here real quick and then come back. And if I make any changes to that, I'll show you what I did. And then I'll lay the top out and kind of my design on that before I put it together. Hey there, this is the second day of the build of the stand. I completed the base. But for this project, it would have taken 4 8-foot 2x4s. You'd have a lot of waste because I actually had some small pieces I used for the base, but it would take, if I measured it out, it would take 4 2x4s. You could build it out of 2x2s though, at least the uprights. I wouldn't build the stand out of that. And then another 8-foot piece of 1x4 for the higher boards, which I'll show you in a second. So not a lot of hardware really, and then a couple clamps and whatever you're going to use to mount the roll. But again, you could modify this thing. This is really overkill. I did a test with the pieces clamped together, and I like the support. I'll show you that. So real quick, let me show you the stand. Completed stand. So this is the base. It came out really good. It's really solid. I like it. My only concern, and I did my test, is these pockets are a little bit tight. But then I didn't have everything screwed together. I just had it clamped together, so it might be fine once it's screwed together. So I might even either remove these or move them out. I kind of like them being in there, and we'll see how it goes once I get it all screwed together. So the next step is to do the actual stand itself that goes into the base. So I'll lay that out, and what my plan is. It's really pretty simple, and then I'll just screw that together off camera, and then show the finished product, and then hopefully take it out and do some testing with it. So okay, so let me lay out the parts here real quick, and then I'll show you how all that goes. Okay, so this will be the upright, and I checked it out a couple different ways. So these 2x4s that you see here are a little over 6 feet. They're 76 inches. And I did that just to maximize the use of the target face, which is 76 inches high. And then I cut, these are 3-inch pieces of plywood to go across. And like I said, it'll be easy to clamp because it's thinner. And I'm going to make them 2 feet apart. So that gives me a pretty big area to test paper test with. But again, it's overkill. You could make this out of 2x2 uprights, 1x2, whatever you have laying around. This is really sturdy and heavy duty, so when I put it together, you'll see that. But I'm gonna go ahead and screw these boards in, and then show the assembled product. Okay? Be right back. All right, so here's the finished product. And I made a few modifications to the original design. One thing I did is I changed the clamps. This was the clamp I was going to put here, but it ended up being too tight, so I used some pipe clamps instead, so it goes in there, it's a little freer in there. I'm worried that when I pull it, it's going to work its way out, but if that's the case, I'll find some way to make it so it doesn't move laterally. And also what I did down here is I moved these blocks out a little bit, and then I put a screw on the other side to kind of pinch the board, just a little bit, not really super tight. So it comes out and in relatively easy. Let me take this off so it doesn't go falling out. So you get it out, you just put my foot down here and pull it out. So it's pretty simple. And then to get it in, just kind of line it up, and shove it down in there. And it's pretty solid. I like it. So pretty easy to take apart, throw in my shed. And then the roll goes in here pretty simple. I might have to find a way, like I said, to keep, either find a longer piece of pipe that is wider than here so I can put a cap or something on it to keep it from moving, but other than that, it's pretty simple to pull the paper up, clamp it, and I got to figure out the best method on the bottom, and I got to find this other clamp, for sure, and then clamp it down here and good to go, and then you can play with it and tighten it up, I imagine. This paper seems maybe like it's a little thin. Oops, sorry, I'm blocking the shot, but so I may have to get some different paper, but I'm going to try it with this. Then I'll probably order some freezer paper, which is a little bit thicker. But I'm pretty happy with it. So next step is I'll take it outside and take a couple shots through it. So it's pretty bright out here today, but hopefully we're in the shade here. So that's the setup right there. That's my target that I actually have to level. You can see it's kind of leaning there. It's been up there for 15 years or so. At any rate, the recommendation is 15 or 5 yards, 15 feet back from the tuning rack, which is right about here. So I have a block down here, and so I've kind of lined myself with the target. I think it works out pretty good because I'll be able to shoot the full range of the paper and not be interrupted. And this target stand works out really good here because actually, I don't know if you can see it, it's pretty sunny, but that's my gate and my driveway there, and I can actually shoot before the trees grew over the driveway. You can see that back in there. I was able to go all the way out to 65 yards, like for the 420 tournaments. I think it's 65, the longest distance, but I can do 55, and I could mark it off. My 20-yard mark is right there, but I can mark in my driveway the different yardages, and I can walk my way back, and I can practice. So it works out pretty good. Just open the gate up and shoot. And actually, at one time, when I was shooting in the nationals, the FIDA tournament, I could go all the way to the end of my driveway, out there where that green trash can is, and I could shoot 90 meters. And we're standing right by the road, which was got a lot of attention when I did that. Anyway, so I'm gonna get my bow out here and get set up. It's a nice muggy but a little bit breezy day, but it should work out okay. The paper's not moving too much. I'm gonna give this thing a try. My mascot's anxiously waiting for it, and we'll see how it works. So I'll set the tripod up and we'll give her a go. Again, I'm not going to paper tune yet. I want to go through the steps. Tonight I'm going to do the clearance test on the rest, and I'll tape that. So I'm going to go through the whole process, but just want to see how this goes. Ripped through there really nice. left a good mark. It's like I'm getting a low tear consistently on both. But I'll take it up there and shoot one more. I'll walk up there. A consistent tear. Let's walk up there. So consistency is good, right? That's a good thing. Back up a little bit. I don't even know if that's even going to show up. Yeah, it looks like it does. So it looks like it went in here. It's a low tear there. Low tear there. So I think same thing here. But it's hard to say. So I think, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not even, but it looks like, to me, a low tear. I mean, you guys might know better. That's what it looks like. It looks like the head went in here, and then tore low to the right, which that's good in a way that they're all consistent. I like that. Yeah, you can definitely see the veins here and here, here and here. So yeah, so I'll be looking to correct that, but not right away. I'm going to look at my clearance first. I'm going to follow the process and look at the clearance on my rest. But I like the setup overall because it gives me, probably draw a line. He recommends 4 arrows. Tim does. I'm going to follow his process. You know, shoot 4 arrows, and then and with some rotating the nocks and things like that. I don't have the process memorized, but I think I might look for something. I think this paper is just a tad thin to give a good tear, so I'll probably pick something up today, a little thicker. But so there you have it. There's my stand. It's my setup for paper tuning. I think it's going to be awesome. Right over here to my right is my shed, so I can just put it away. You know, right over here. Just walk over, you know, a few feet, take it apart, throw it in my shed, and whenever I need to take it out, it's sitting on level ground right there. I'm actually on a little bit of a rise here where I'm standing right now, where I shot from, but that's not a big deal. So I'm really, really happy with it. And if you have any questions about how to build it, again, I'm going to put the videos, some of the other videos where I was actually doing the construction of the base in a little more detail. I'll tag it on the end here if anybody wants to see how that was screwed together. And if you have any questions about how I did it and suggestions, I'm a very open-minded guy. If there's things I could have done better or whatever. Appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed it. And talk to you later, archers. Oh, there's my mascot. She says later. Okay, so I decided to go ahead, and show the assembly of this, just in case there's some folks that are going to do it. They're a little unsure of how to screw this whole thing together, or how I'm going to go about it anyway. We're basically using 2 lengths of screws. These are 2-inch. Let me see, make sure I'm getting them in the picture. Yeah, okay, 2-inch and 3-inch torque bit screws. Here's a torque bit tip. I highly recommend that versus a Phillips bit because it's much easier. They don't slip off. I like the gold ones, but they come in, you know, regular steel or whatever, titanium. I don't know. The trick behind these driving these long ones is you got to keep it straight and you got to put a lot of force, right? And I'll demonstrate that. But other than that, there's no real trick to it because of the design. I don't really have to drill any pilot holes. Sometimes you need to, like on the ends here. And a pilot hole is basically you take a drill bit, which is basically around the size of a little bit smaller than the shaft of the screw, and you drill it through this. You would drill it through this piece, actually around the size of the screw. So the screw will go through this piece without drilling through it, and then just drill into that piece. I'm not going to do that, but if you're new to assembly, pilot holes or sometimes make the assembly a lot easier. And if I run into trouble, I probably will do that. but I don't have any plans to do it right now. So in my mind, the very first thing I want to do is screw these. Now in this case, it's just a matter of, making sure the bottom of this is even, and then I can take the 2-inch screws and I can go ahead and just screw right through it, knowing that they're not going to go through, right? So I'm going to put my knee on here. It doesn't really, these aren't really doing anything, they aren't really holding anything, so I'm not going to put too many. Oops, let me get going in the right direction. I do have a battery-powered screwdriver. So I have and you just want to go till it's just below the surface. They'll drive right through if you keep going. I do have a battery-powered drill. The reason I don't like using it when I'm doing this, first of all, I have electric. There's no need to use battery. I'm not in an area where I'm on a ladder somewhere where battery makes sense. So I get the power. It's not going to die on me. I don't have to charge battery. So if you got an electric drill, in my mind, just use it. This makes it easier. So I'm going to put 4 of these in, right? I'm just going to kind of eyeball the spacing. I don't think it needs more than that. It's really not doing anything. See, I could drive that right through that piece of wood. I don't want to do that because then it would go into the mat. That's a long one. I want to mix them up. Yeah, get yourself a pouch or a couple of bins to hold your screws in. Another thing about torque bits, if you're using them for a deck or any other kind of construction, if you got to take something apart, they are a whole lot better to have to take something apart than a Phillips bit. That's for sure. That's one side. Do the same thing on the other side. So basically because I said, if you remember, these are a little bit shorter, so I'm just feeling to make sure this board is not sticking out, because when I put it on this end board, like that, I don't want this to hit that board. I want to make sure the 2x4 hits it. So I'm just making sure that the 2x4 is sticking out, and it's pretty level with the bottom. Now I'm going to screw it in. It's not rocket science. This stuff's pretty simple. But, okay, right here is a split in this board. So just for the heck of it, I'm going to flip it, because that split doesn't matter at the top, but if I drive a screw through it, it's likely to split that board. So it's one thing I like about rough cut cedar is it doesn't split like pine does. I don't know if it's just a different kind of grain pattern, whatever it might be. You could I probably should have done it. I should have alternated the pattern a little bit. Put one screw high, one screw low, and you can put more screws in. If you think you need it. I don't think it's needed, but I am going to alternate high and low on it. Now that I didn't do that. And you can put marks on the boards where the 2x4 is if you make sure you hit it. It's not that. Okay, that's that. So these are going to go here. So beautiful. So again, I'm going to do this by just screwing in freehand. And if you're not comfortable with that, do the pilot holes. All right. And these tips will wear out too. That's the other thing. So then you got to switch them up. Yeah. So I'm definitely a little concerned that if I screw that in there, this piece here, it's going to pinch that board and make that thing really hard to come out of there. Okay. Think about that. Let's think about that. This was an old board I used when I cemented my driveway. It's got concrete on it. 14.5. Again, it's not that critical. I just, want to make sure it looks halfway decent. This one's a little bit shorter, but not a big deal. Let's do this one first. Once you get it going, you just really have to you got to be straight. If you drive it straight, it'll go right in. So if in doubt, drill a pilot hole. Makes it a lot easier. might just eliminate this piece. I mean, this whole top section is going to have bracing on it anyway. So I don't know how much I have to gain. I saw that in another video, which is why I did it. You know, a guy did that in another video, but then again, it was a little bit different design, so maybe it's not needed. I mean, I want it snug, but I don't want to be wrestling to get that thing in there either. And this one's kind of rough. I'm going to use a smooth piece, because the ones I'm using for the uprights are going to be new smooth pieces. I don't want something with crud on it. Yeah, that's going to be good. I'll just do it right there. I don't have a pencil handy, otherwise I'd mark it. I mean, you can always, yeah, it's going to be good, I think. I don't think I'll need those other pieces. So, modification to the design. And needless to say, you know, build this thing on a flat surface because it's sitting nice and flat, right? Okay, so basically, if I don't put these in, I have the bottom stand built, right? So again, you got to visualize these being 6 feet tall, or however they're going to end up being, but I think it's 6 feet. I still like the idea of having these in here. We'll see. I could probably just throw a piece of cardboard or something in there. But as soon as you screw it, it's going to tighten up on it. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I could always put a bolt and nut and keep it from actually tightening up on it, just to hold it in there. Not really sure. What I could do, rocket science Ed, is screw it from one side. So it basically just stays up against this one side and doesn't get pinched in there. You know what? I think I'll do that. Alright, so basically what I'm saying is, instead of sandwiching it in there, I'm just going to screw it from the one side, just so I have it in there to help me guide this in, but it's not going to pinch the board. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I think that's good. I'm glad we worked that out, gang. Yeah. See, that kind of gives me a little guiding area to get it, help get it in. Is it marked? One more. I think it's not cut real straight, but it's not that big a deal. It doesn't really do anything. So, just to give you an idea, you know, how heavy it is. It's not heavy at all, but it's going to be really stable, I think. And I have enough room in here to build the top, so, and then actually put it in there. I'm going to lay out what I plan on doing for the top, and then cut it and go through the same process of screwing it with the camera. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so this will be the upright. And I checked it out a couple different ways. So these 2x4s that you see here are a little over 6 feet. They're 76 inches. And I did that just to maximize the use of the target face, which is 76 inches high. Okay, so just for those who want to see how I'm going to screw this together, I'm going to do it actually while it's standing up. So I've mounted these up and clamped them in place. I checked them for level, but not too concerned about that. I checked them for square, using a step square, basically just check them roughly for square to make sure it's not whacked out. Obviously, this is 30 inches, a little over 30 inches, and I'm going with a 2-foot opening. Could go more, but again, I don't want to be shooting downhill. I mean, this way, no matter what I'm shooting at, I'm shooting pretty level. I won't be shooting down. But if down the road I decide I need it bigger, then I can always drop it down. It's pretty simple to adjust. So, all right. So let me throw some screws in this thing. Be in the way of the shot. I mean, it shouldn't take a lot of screws to hold this in. Again, it's plywood. Now, if you're using if you're using something other than plywood, like 1x2 or whatever, definitely want to drill pilot holes because you'll split it. That's the nice thing about plywood; it won't split. So, kind of one of the reasons I like using it. I'm probably blocking this shot, but it's all right. You can see it's got some movement, but that's cool. I'm okay with that. I mean, I could tighten it up. I could throw a couple wedges in there, you know, the days I'm shooting and that, but probably not going to do that. These top ones are a little bit harder because, you know, I had nothing to get the screw started, so I'm just whacking them in with a hammer a little bit just to get them started. Then I can brace it. Same over here. Okay, I actually already have a screw in the top there on that one. 3 screws on each one, in no particular order. Whoops.